In this video, we are going to be reviewing Discuss and Chatter, which encompasses the built-in communication aspects of Odoo. So the first thing we will look at is the Discuss app. You will see that I have a message here. This is my inbox. So these are notifications that are being sent to me because somebody replied to something I was a follower on. For example, it needs my attention. I am seeing this here, and I will also see it in my notifications because I have my preferences set to handle in Odoo. If it was set to handle in email, I would not see this notification here. But as it is, I could choose to either use this to jump to the record and respond there, or I can see it in Discuss in my inbox and I can click on it to jump to the record, see it here. Or I could also choose to reply right here. And then I can choose to check this box to mark it as read and remove it from my inbox. I can also choose to mark all read. So if I had a lot of them and I'd gone through them, I could choose to mark all read, though it's probably just safer to mark them individually as you handle them. But if we were to hop on over to Kaylee before we mark that as read, you will see that my response that I submitted through Discuss is visible on the record, and I did receive an email about that as well as this customer. So we'll go ahead and mark that as read, indicating that I completed it. One other thing to note is that you can also star a message. So if you can't reply to it right away, but you need to come back to it later or something, you can put a star to it next to it and marks as to do, and then it shows up in your starred messages as well for follow-up. Under history, you can see a history of the chatter that ultimately pertains to you. So we have that here for historical reference. Then we have the ability to direct message. So this is our Odoo bot here that we renamed eBoo Suites admin in another video. But we can directly chat with our coworkers here, other users. And then Ella will see this notification in her instance. She gets the chat pop up and the little notification. She can respond. And this way we are using this as a direct messaging system, kind of like a Slack or something along those lines. And then we have channels. So channels we can take a look at. Let's take a peek at the general channel and the settings. So if we look at the settings here for general, we have this set to a selected group of users can access this channel, but the selected group of users or the authorized group is an internal user. So essentially any internal user could see and join this group. Then we have auto subscribe groups. So this means that anytime a user is added to this group, they will automatically be added as a member. So all of our internal users are members because they are auto subscribed. And then you have auto subscribe departments. So you could choose to auto subscribe a department, which we'll look at on another channel. So the difference between an authorized group and auto subscribe groups is that authorized groups allow the people in that channel to access the group versus auto subscribe, which will automatically make them follow the group, and thus it'll show up in their sidebar immediately instead of them needing to browse and join the channel manually. So this one's pretty straightforward because it is for general company information. Let's go back here and we'll look at one that we have locked down a little bit further. So this events channel, we have it set up to invited users only, and then we auto subscribe the department of sales. So anybody that's in the sales department will automatically be added as a member. So if we look at the members, we can see that these are the internal users that we have indicated and their employee record are part of the sales department. But we can also manually invite users as well. So maybe we want Ella to be a part of this group, and so we can save that here. Now when we come in here as Ella, we can go into Discuss and we will see that she now has access to the events channel and can contribute there. Now let's make a new channel that we will call leadership. And it's a locked channel. We want it to be private. And when we set this up, we are going to set a selected group of users. And we will choose an administrative levels. We'll say you need to be administration settings to be a part of this group. So we'll save that. Now, if we look at that group, we will see that there are just 2 users that are a part of that group, my user and Theodore's user. But if we look at members, we only have my user because Theodore hasn't joined this group and we did not subscribe him. So if we hop on over into Ella and refresh here, and if we were to click the plus and start typing lead, we only have the option to create a new channel. But if we look at Theodore, we also don't see the leadership channel. But if we start typing, we will see that we can join this channel and not just create. So if we click that, we'll see that I'm a part of this channel now. And if we look at our members, we will see that Theodore is now a member because he has joined this channel. So there is one more channel type that I want to discuss, which is a mailing list channel. And if we go ahead and click on this, then we will see that who can follow the group's activities will say anyone. And we will choose to send messages by email. So what this means is that messages that go through this channel will be sent by email, even for internal users, regardless of their notification preferences, which is different from what you see normally in Odoo. And we'll discuss that a little bit more when we get into the specifics of chatter on records. And then moderate this channel. So if we moderate this channel, then messages will need to be approved before they are emailed. So we'll give it a description. All right. And under members, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add an outside user. And of course, internal users as well. So again, we're treating this like a mailing list about all things related to our company. And then for moderators, I'm going to go ahead and add a few here as well. And this automatic notification is a message that should be sent when a message needs to be moderated. Okay. And we will save this. Okay. So let's go ahead and as an internal user, we will go ahead and post something to this channel. And when I send it, because this is a moderated channel, then this user who's not a moderator will see that their message is pending moderation. That said, as a user internally, you will see the message automatically that somebody posted to this channel. And we can jump to that, right, and see it here. But I'm going to go into discuss and go into our company notifications. And I am a moderator, so I will see these options here. So I could choose to ban this person and not allow them to post. That's an internal user though, so we're not going to do that. I could always allow, I say that every time this person posts, it does not need moderation. I can discard. This would just not send the message and it wouldn't send a message to the person that posted either, letting them know that it hadn't been accepted. I could reject, in which case I'm telling the person why I'm rejecting their post, or I can accept it. Because this is an internal user, I'm just going to always allow them to post. I trust them. Now, when this is posted, anyone who is a member will receive an email. So this is the external user that is receiving an email because they are a member of that channel, and the notification was moderated. Now, because this is a mailing list, I can reply to this. And as a moderator, I can go in here and I can see that this is pending moderation. Now I may choose to reject this because maybe this isn't something that everybody needs a response to. Maybe you just want to reply to the one author to explain that. So in this case, this example actually would probably make sense to go out to everybody, but we're going to go ahead and reject it and then let them know why. Okay, so that didn't get posted and nobody received an email notification about it because it was not an accepted moderated comment. As I said, they would get a notice about why we rejected the messages because we chose to reject it and not discard it. So we see that rejection message here to that end user. Now, going back in here, let's say that we have a message here that somebody is spamming our mailing list or something, and so we don't want to allow them to post anymore. We could choose to ban them. And you can always go in on the channel settings and look at this moderation list, and it will show you anybody who has been banned. Now, if you take that off, that filter off, you will see essentially the status of any other thing. So if Ella started to cause problems, for example, we could change it from always allow, in which case she would go back to requiring moderation. Or if this user showed a change in their behavior, then we could simply select the checkbox over here and delete them from that. And now they're going to go back into the normal moderation process. All right, so moving on from Discuss as an app, let's talk about Chatter. It's backed by Discuss, but it is the backbone of communication within Odoo across record types. So for example, I will go to a sales order. And we will see Chatter over here. Keep in mind this is responsive, so depending on, for example, how large or small your window is, Chatter may be next to the record or it could be below it. So that's something to be aware of. Now, Chatter itself is made up of several components. We have our followers. So followers are anyone who are related to this record in some way. People are automatically added as followers through various actions. So Kaylee is a follower because she's the customer for the sale order. And so when I sent an email to her earlier, it automatically added her as a follower on the record. Ella is a follower automatically because she is the salesperson on the document. And I am a follower on the record because I have interacted with the document via sending email. You can also add followers or channels manually, and we'll talk about why that might be important. If you click the pencil icon here, you can see the subscription preferences. So what am I going to be notified of on this particular record? In this case, I will be notified of discussions, which is the send email function. All right. So why would we want to add more followers or channels? You might want to add more followers or channels because when you send a message, messages send to the followers of a document. So if you have somebody that you always want to keep looped in on this record, then you may choose to add a follower. And you could send him an email letting him know he's going to be added as a follower if you would like. In general, I don't do that, but it's really just use case dependent. And we could also add a channel. So maybe we want to keep track of everything that's going on with this sale order in our events channel. And a channel, just like normal followers that are people and not channels, also has preferences for what it will receive notifications of. And while we have this pulled up, it's worth noting that discussions really is the most common thing to be subscribed to. Could you subscribe to activities and notes and various changes in the document status? Yes, of course you could. However, that could also be really overwhelming to receive that many notifications. So it's about receiving notifications that are actually of importance to you. Also worth noting that for an external follower, like the customer, you would not want to subscribe them to anything outside of discussions because it wouldn't really be appropriate for them to receive notifications every time an activity is created or a note is logged. We'll talk about notes here momentarily. Those are really meant to be internal or to loop in specific people. So just keep that in mind. Edit your subscription settings with caution in the context of what is really appropriate to receive notifications about. All right. So next to that, we can see following or unfollow. So this is something for your specific user. If I landed on this document and I no longer want to be a follower, I can just check unfollow and it's going to remove me as a follower, and I can click follow to start following again. Then we have this paperclip icon. The paperclip icon shows you all attachments that are already on this record, as well as allows you to add new attachments. Now let's talk about these three over here because these are really the meat of Chatter. So send message operates like an email. So you'll see that it's 2 followers of this sailor. So it's going to send to every person or channel that is subscribed over here. Likewise, if we were to pop this out, we get a full email editor with a WYSIWYG and the ability to select a specific template. So we could select a template and then modify it to be more personal, for example. So once you select a template, you can edit anything within it, and you're just editing this one instance of the email going out. You're not editing the template itself. You can attach more files, and of course you have all the fun WYSIWYG stuff, such as changing the font weight, the font size, etc. Okay, and you can also add more contacts to notify. So in this case, maybe I also want to alert Finn, who is another person at Ebu Suites, and he's going to be involved in this sale order. So I can send this. And by doing that, the email is going to go out to the customer. And as far as Finn is concerned, ultimately, Finn is going to receive a notice based on his Odoo settings. So that is important to talk about right now. If you have your notification set to handle in Odoo, then you will receive a notification in Odoo. If you have your notification set to handle by email, then you will receive an email. So you can't get a notification in Odoo and also receive an email, or vice versa. It is really one or the other. Finn will have also been added as a follower, so he's automatically looped in on future conversations. Likewise, if we go into the events and discuss, we will see that this message has been posted here because the channel is a follower. So again, think of send message as emailing, even though for internal users, it's really more about how their preferences are configured. Now let's talk about log note. So log note is really meant for internal communications or just for logging something for historical reference. So for logging a note, I may wish to have it say something about their preference. So they really are looking to order dark chocolate, right? This is really just something I'm going to log. And we see that unlike the messages, which were with a white background, these are in a gray background. So you can differentiate between send messages and logged notes. You can also tag users in logged notes. So we can tag Ella, and without sending a message to the customer, we can alert her to something that she might need to be involved in. and Ella is going to get a notification. Likewise, when you're logging a note, you can include a channel as well. So in this case, maybe I want the leadership team to take a look at this. And if we jump on over into the leadership team and discuss, we will see that this message was posted here because the channel was tagged. Something else to be aware of with logging a note, though, is that you can send to any user. So do be aware of that. You could technically tag a customer that has a portal user and notify them via the log note, even though that's not your intention. So do just be cognizant of who you are tagging when you are logging a note, and use this as a way to follow up on things internally without sending a full message. Logging a note also happens automatically when a field is tracked or something important about the record you are on changes if it is a tracked change. So in this case, I could edit this and change this to 2 and save. And because the amount, the total and the untaxed amount are tracked fields, we will see over here that those changes were tracked in Chatter. Likewise, if I confirm this sale order, the status is also, or the state rather, is also tracked. So this will be logged in Chatter. So again, historical context is also a part of these logged notes or logged chatter mechanisms. Now, lastly, let's look at scheduling an activity, because some of the things that I posted as a log note may really have been more appropriate to treat as an activity because they required follow-up of some kind. So if you schedule an activity, then you get this pop-up. You can choose your activity type. There are ways to modify and add new activity types, but for now we're just going to cover the ones that are already here. So you will select your activity type. You can set a due date and then assign it to either yourself or another user. So maybe I want to assign this to Ella because she needs to review and follow up on something. The summary is a really short summary of what needs to be done, and we will see how this displays when the activity is created and when someone receives a notification about it. And then the body is some further detail. Now down here, we have a few more options. Of course, we could discard this. We're just not going to do anything with it. Mark as done would complete the activity. So in one fell swoop, we create and complete the activity for tracking purposes. Done and schedule next would do the same thing. It would create, mark the activity as done, and allow us to schedule our next one. Or in this case, what we're going to do is we're just going to schedule this. We will see this show up at the top of Chatter as a planned activity. And if we click the eye icon, we can get more information about the activity type, who created it and when, etc. We could also choose to edit it. So if we needed to bump the due date out by a day or something along those lines, we can do that and save it. But I'm actually going to make it due today because it's very urgent. So we'll see that the coloring changed. So if it's green, it's in the future. If it's orange, it's today. And if it's red, then it's in the past and the activity is past due. Now for Ella, she will see an activity icon up here that lists all records that have an activity scheduled for her. So you can see ones that are in the future, which is what it was before we changed it to today's date, in the past or late, or the ones that are due today. And by clicking on this, we will jump to a list of all activities that need to be completed today. And then we can click on it and Ella can action that activity. So if Ella has followed up and sent her more information, then she can mark this as done and leave a little bit of feedback about what she did. And then choose done or done and schedule next. So done and schedule next, again, is going to complete the activity and pop up a modal for us to schedule our next activity. And then the done action logs both the activity information as well as any notes that were logged when completing the activity in Chatter for historical reference. Some activities have special functionality. Primarily, I'm thinking about meetings here. So if we click on meeting, we can enter a summary. And then open calendar. And when I do that, it is going to present my calendar and I can select a time and day. We see that our summary is set by default from what we had set in the activity. And then we can click edit. We can add any other attendees to this. So for example, maybe we also want to follow up with the customer. So it is a sales follow-up. And then we could add other details like a description, tags, reminders, etc. But when we save this, we will see it on our calendar. And then if we go back to the sailor, we will see that this is scheduled as a planned activity for a meeting. And that is really Chatter and Discuss in Odoo in a nutshell. So it is very powerful. It allows for a lot of internal communication, tracking of follow-ups, making sure that everybody's on the same page and that operations are flowing smoothly. But it also functions as your communication system with your customers or your vendors as well.